1 minute to show. 1 minute to show. At it again. Another week, every league, every week. This is the LG Snapshot Episode 2 Records and Scratches here on LeagueGaming.com. Must remind you, views and expressions of this show right here, do not reflect those of LeagueGaming.com or its staff. It is time to get things underway, and we have a packed house tonight. And I mean that because we're going to introduce a couple people. We have, first and foremost, stepping to the mic right now while multitasking, Sevv09. Hey, Sev. You doing all right? Sev is not doing okay. Sev, I hear him, but I don't hear him. I don't know what's happening. We're going to go.
He may have died.
He might have died. It's, I can't be sure anymore. Let's introduce my second in command, I suppose, my CHL media liaison, Parity.
I think that's a promotion from last week. I think I was third in command last week, but with Sevv multitasking, I think I stepped up.
Yeah, I don't know how it works anymore, honestly. And then I think we found him. The milk carton searches were successful. We found him in a dumpster somewhere, left by someone who doesn't love him. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, the permanent third panel member for this trifecta, Eric E. Rice, 30 Rice 30. What's up, man?
First off, I wasn't lost on a milk carton.
No? Well, what happened?
Cannabis Claudio.
What happened?
I apologize. Sometimes real life just gets in the way, but we keep going on and we keep moving forward. Glad to be a part of the show. Let's rock and roll.
That's it. The best part about this show, Eric, is there's no video. So whatever you decide to do, whatever home improvement project you decide to work on tonight won't be captured into a GIF.
I can promise you there'll be no Tim Allen home improvements tonight.
Do we have Sevv? Is he actually here yet? I don't know. I heard him vaguely heard him. So Sevv is playing a game right now while he's typing in the chat box, while he's writing up an advanced stats, while he's on the show. This, my friends, is dedication to the craft. I tell you what. Now, before we get started, I want to let you guys know, here's how the show works. We're going to go for about 30 to 45 minutes. Sevv will run me long because that's what he does. And then, in a little bit, we will have at the end of the show the final shot, which is we take your questions, comments, concerns, curiosities, inquiries, and queries, and we talk about them. Rapid fire at the end. But we want to make sure you guys are on Twitter, that whole thing. Social media is a thing. Use hashtag LG Snapshot. And on the screen that's in front of you, we will see all of your tweets live on the show. We will read them in our segment later on in the show. And then if you have any random questions and you want to participate in the actual show, keep chatting in the chat box. Keep chatting in the threads. We're checking those. And, of course, make sure you follow us on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube, LeagueGaming.com. We will answer your questions and take your questions in that chat as well. So, what have we been up to? Eric, what's been going on with you, man? How is the season treating you so far?
It's been a pleasant surprise. If you had told me at the midway point we'd be tied for the first seed in the West, I would have said you're crazy. However, we're here, and all we can do is look to the second half of the season and keep on moving. So I'm having a good time. It's been a fun season. Enjoy the competition. It's always a good league, so let's keep on rolling.
Right on. Powder, how's it for you down there in the CHL holding it down?
Well, we're stuck behind the ever popular Blazers, but we're holding second, first in our division, so we can't be complaining ourselves. Lots of fun, lots of exciting games, but we need to improve still.
Fair enough. I'm kind of in the same boat, so it seems like I'm doing well enough to get wins. I just got 2 last night, but my streak of getting a point per game in official league play isn't happening. I don't know what's going on. I don't get it. I blame Cola and Doms. They're dangle fests to my left. You know, my right D, I just got to play shutdown defense because like we're playing 4-wing. I'm kidding. They're great. They're all great.
You got to shoot more, man.
I got to shoot more. You know, that's what I've heard. I got to shoot more. I try to tell my bosses that, but they don't want to have any of it. They're not having any of it.
Shot hogs.
Now Sevv is still. I don't know what Sevv's doing. He's trying to talk, and all you guys are hearing, if you're listening to headphones like I am, all you're hearing is. I don't know what's happening. I don't know. I don't get it.
Is that a Star Wars reference?
I don't know what reference it is. All I'm telling you is this is what I hear is noise.
Can you do that voice again?
I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds some sort of Star Wars.
It's
thing.
A little Donald Duck. I don't know.
We can go DuckTales. We can go DuckTales all day. Children of the 80s.
Woohoo!
So.
Well, let's get the show started. Let's get it underway. Tonight's show obviously called Records and Scratches because first we'll talk about some records, and then second, because you guys wanted it, we're bringing back the 3 stars and the 3 scratches here on the LG Snapshot. So let's get this thing going. New CHL record in the building. Let's give it up to the Kamloops Blazers, setting the record for the longest win streak. Now, if I would have asked Sevv this question, I would ask him, how does this stack up in the CHL, and AHL, and NHL? And he would go on for a long time to talk about the stats and how it relates to the record book. But since we have him not available right now for reasons unknown because he's playing in Philly, Powder, how's it working for you? Kamloops, how are they doing?
I've said it from the get-go, from the day my first bidding show went to every other show I've done, every write-up we've done. Bocasmo and Snowstud, the AGM and GM combo there, have built a powerhouse and a team that is probably not going to lose too many games. I wouldn't be surprised if they kept the losses under 10 this season. Wow, 10.
What happens if they get raped?
I'm waiting for it. But from a rumor standpoint, I don't know if this is confirmed or not. There's a lot of players in Kamloops not able to play in their AHL games for call-ups. So, therefore, they haven't been hurt too bad yet. I'm not sure if that's fact, fiction, or what, but that's the word on the CHL streets.
So it kind of goes back to what we were saying last week. Is that real? Is it really because they can't play, or are they being told not to play?
Yeah, a lot of new developments today. Actually, we've heard some possible collusion stories and stuff like that. Once again, not confirmed, so I won't get too far into them. I'll save that for another episode of Around the CHL.
Well, fair enough.
in regards to those Blazers, I did call up a Blazer, and he missed a scheduled game tonight. Good times.
Strike one.
Well, so what is it? 3 strikes and you're out, right? So if you just want to keep calling them up, you could single-handedly be responsible for the takedown of the Kamloops Blazers for this season.
So this is a call to action to AHL GMs. If you have a Kamloops Blazer, get them going.
Sevv, are you there?
He's on the milk cart tonight.
We've
Lost
replaced
in the streets
him.
Of Philly.
We've replaced him we replaced you with him now, and now we're trying to find Sevv somewhere in the First Union Center in Philadelphia. Is that what it's called still? I don't even know. Wells Fargo Center, is that what it's called now?
Yeah, I think Wells Fargo bought the rights.
First Union bought by, I don't know how it goes. I don't know these things about Philly. We'll have him touch on that in just a little bit, but I want to quickly jump over to the AHL with Calder Cup Favorites. Obviously, Eric, it's time for you to step up and shine here. Providence's winning streak.
Providence's winning streak. It was huge. They played some great teams. played some great competition, and they came out on top routinely. They've been a good team now 2 seasons in a row. They have a great core. They have a great philosophy. They play a certain style. If you have film on them, go look. They all play the same way every time. It's a strong defense leading to easy offense off of turnovers. They possess the puck well. They all know what they're doing. They all have a role, a goal, and they all execute it. So, I mean, right now, they're kind of the gold standard over Albany, I think. It's definitely a two-way race between them for the top team in the AHL, but they're both great teams that know how to get it done.
And what's
right now, I'll give the edge to Providence.
Yeah, what's your take on Charlotte? Are they showing up for their games here? What are they doing to follow suit from their success from last season?
I think Charlotte really is in a tough spot. I mean, anytime you have Brown leading an organization or a daddy pro team, I think you're in trouble. I mean, there's a couple AHL GMs like that. However, I mean, Brown does have the experience. I mean, if he can get guys to rally around him, then he'll be fine. But I don't see that happening in Charlotte. They're playing their games, but they're not really a threat to anyone. I mean, they're so new to each other that you just keep grinding on them, they're going to grind out, and that's a guarantee.
You know, I think Providence is doing well. You're right on them having a similar style. No matter what line you face, it all seems like they will harass the defense all game long. And it doesn't matter if you've got them locked down, if you want to send your center back to play third D. Somehow, the way they work the puck around the back of the net just seems to work for them. And if they keep it up and they don't get hit with either call-ups or injury or not showing or whatever the cases may be, they could be Calder Cup champions. And that's coming from an Albany Devil.
Of course. I mean, Providence has the talent to do it. They have the GM experience to do it. They have all the ingredients for a championship team. I mean, as we've seen in multiple seasons, though, the favorites rarely win it, unfortunately. So let's just see what happens. I mean, it's a long season. There's a half a season left, you know, so anything can happen. It's too much time right now to crown anybody.
That's true. Powder, down in the CHL, obviously we have some call-ups. We have some people that have stepped in to fill up in ECU. What's it look like? Who stands out to you that now is playing in the AHL?
Well, going back to Albany, I mean, you guys had a shot at T. Logan, by far the shining star in Kamloops on a team full of them. He's been absolutely brutal against other CHL teams. But looking at his AHL numbers, you didn't see a whole lot happening, and it was only a week's vacation in Albany for him leaving Kamloops. So I don't know if that was just a temporary thing or if that was something that is being thrown around as a permanent idea. But the kid definitely has the talent to play in the AHL. It's just finding a line that he fits with.
That's true.
We're talking about T. Logan? T. Logan?
T. Logan.
Look, if I may speak on T. Logan, last year he ECU'd for Lake Erie in a playoff game, came up huge, scored about 5 points in one game. He is definitely AHL quality. What I found very suspicious about T. Logan was that even though he was a veteran returning player, he was already signed up before the season started, he was not available in AHL bidding. How do I know this? He was on my draft board, but he wasn't out there. There were several players that I noticed were missing from that bidding session. So
interesting.
I'm saying, man, if T. Logan was in AHL bidding, he would have been an AHL player, but he wasn't there, even though by the quote rules, he should have been there. So there you go.
Where is the judicial branch?
There's no judicial branch. It's all executive. Let's go.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
It's exactly what we were saying last week, right?
I wasn't even here.
It's it. We got to make sure we also shout out Norfolk, the Admirals over there, still underneath 10 losses as well. So, you know, you have them, Providence and Albany, sitting at the top with a couple of points between the next couple of people. Norfolk looks pretty good, too. I know, Eric, you can speak on them a little bit more as well.
Of course. Norfolk, they got a good all-around squad. They've definitely been hit by some call-ups, but they seem to have replaced the talent that they lost. I mean, with Jay Rules, anything is possible. He's a former NHL guy. He's been through every situation, every scenario, tomato. He's done it. So, I mean, it's really just about them keeping their group of players together and keep on working towards the common goal, which I'm sure is to, you know, win their division and win the East.
Yeah, I mean, you got guys like Lethal Mike, who's known to play well. You got guys like Figaro, who came up through the VHL in the last season, and he's played well.
His first name is Michael, by the way. If you ever see Figaro, call him Michael, and you'll have him rattled the whole game. His name is Michael Figaro.
And then you look at a couple of the players too. I mean, you got Mo Petey. He's down there with the Mo Petey Music Hour. He's played a game. And then, surprise here, a Twitcher by the name of Vero plays right D. She's one of the few girls in the league in the training camp. So, you expect people like that to then step up and deliver when called upon. And obviously Mo Petey, Connor, who else is down there? PMC. These guys are stepping up and delivering.
P. McWaters, you got Slam Coast 91. Heavy hitter. But he's got to work on that discipline, and that high contract's not helping him. But their defenseman in that TC looks solid. So if they're not going to get too hurt by any more call-ups. Plus a goalie that I know personally, SDS Ballistic, with a solid defense, he can stop anything.
That's true. It definitely will be interesting to see how we pan this all out leading into the All-Star break. That kind of will be the judgment of, okay, are some of these teams meeting our expectations? And if they're not, who's stepping up in their place? So we still got a lot of games to go through. We still have the trade deadline coming up, and I do expect a lot of moves to happen at that time. So it's kind of open. Still, no one's really out of it except for a couple of teams, which wasn't the case last season. That's for sure. But right now, I wanted to jump into a topic about the NHL, but Sevv is still dead. So we're gonna skip. We're gonna skip over that, and we're gonna go to a subject that is near and dear to all of our hearts here at the LG Snapshot, and could definitely be in the hearts of those who read them. The LG Power Rankings.
Ooh.
Many have said that these power rankings are not the cat's meow. That something is amiss, something is off. And is it the reason we write our own? I don't know. But, Powder, what do you think on all this?
Oh, I'm going to crush this.
Well, if we're talking the LG Power Rankings, obviously they're based on a mathematical algorithm that somebody else knows about that I have no clue what they're talking about. However, those rankings are there. But then you have the ones that are produced by members such as myself, my crew on the CHL. I know last year Eric was running a whole bunch of stuff in the with the CHL guys helping us out and teaching us the ropes.
Whoa!
What you got?
I forgot about that. Good call.
Exactly. I know we've all done something along the lines of writing. We're not just vocal guys that like to hear ourselves talk. But
I am.
Well, when it comes to writing, what I try to always explain to people, these are people's personal opinions. And you can't compare yourself to one writer's opinion to another. You have to look at the teams that are in the same division, the teams you stack up against, especially in the CHL. In the AHL and NHL, you guys are all kind of in one big league, but with the CHL, you have 2 leagues within a league and 4 conferences within those 2 leagues. So that's 50 or 40 some odd teams right now, and it's hard to get one person to be able to compare every one of them. So you guys can't take them to heart. And when you do have a problem with them, instead of getting an attitude about it, why not just prove me wrong on the ice?
You raise a valid point. For me, you don't. Oh, Eric, please chime in.
I'll be back.
What happened? Oh, Eric says he'll be back. Okay. Never mind.
Right. Unexpected absence.
But yeah, these 2 massholes, I tell you, Powder, I told you, you're the only guy from up there that I like.
I got no life. I live for LG.
You're living for it?
It's all. My summer is devoted to LG right now.
Okay, so going back, are you still with me, by the way? I got to make sure you're still here.
Yes, I'm still good.
Good, making sure. Sevv is blowing up the mic right now. This is good. This is...
interesting to say the least.
And I can't end the call with him because if I do, it'll end the whole call. So I'm just going to keep going. This is what we do. This is the Snapshot. This is live. Going back to the power rankings. So as far as the LG ones, again, like you said, they're run and they are what they are. And at least we have content coming out, 4 or 5 times a week for each league on who's performing, who's not. You can kind of take them with a grain of salt, go from there. But for the ones we write, I definitely see a lot of, what do I want to call it, Powder? Monday morning quarterbacks, armchair quarterbacks, maybe?
Yeah, it's with all these different teams, 17 people per team, you have so many different opinions. So people have their own opinions. and you're going to have your own opinion. I don't agree with everything in the New York Times. I don't agree with everything on ESPN at all times. I don't agree with Skip Bayless and JJ Adonde and all those experts out there. I don't agree with every single one of them. You're not going to. You never will.
Right.
But when it comes time to someone's opinion, take a look at it. Maybe they do know what they're talking about. If it means nothing to you, let it go out in one ear, out the other. And if maybe they have a point, maybe you should try to fix the way you're playing, because nobody gets mad when we're saying you're doing good. Ever.
That's true. I mean, if you broaden the scope as well, if you look at it, people are dedicating hours of time into some of these things that they put out, right? And
definitely.
For the only result to be, oh, screw you, you're terrible. Oh, I disagree with you completely. I mean, some of that is welcome for sure, as long as it's constructive. But the blatant toxicity is kind of the problem, right? It's the thing that I keep saying is causing the league to almost detract from what it could be.
Yeah, I spend most of my Sunday editing power rankings to have them released as early as I can on Sunday, and I spend Sunday afternoons defending myself on Twitter. And I'll just blanket this statement on my power rankings that are put out by me. I do not personally write any single one of these. I edit them, I ensure that they are formatted correctly, and I make sure my writers turned them in. Last week we had a little glitch where somebody quit on me because they couldn't put in the time. They said it was too boring. This isn't a glamour job. There's no makeup guy. There's no showroom that they go get ready in before they write. They do on their own free time, just like you decide to go out and mow the lawn or whatever else you may do. These people take their time out of their days to do these things, and it's not the easiest thing to do. I know by getting to those 5th place and 6th place teams in each division, those guys are getting to the point where they just want to be done and hit send to me, so they don't have to deal with it for another week. Because last year we did it on a 2-week basis. This year you guys are getting them every week. So, I mean, big kudos to those guys, the guys that have stepped up. I put it out there for everybody. Feel free to contact me. You guys can let me know if you think you can do a better job. I'll give one of those guys a week off, and you can come in and do the power rankings for a week, and then we'll have everybody throw their opinions at you and see where you go with that and how you like it.
At the end of the day, it all is in favor for the community as it is. So it keeps you coming back to the forums. It keeps you engaged and interactive. It kind of also adds a little bit of chippiness when you play a team that they say, oh, they're better than some name, or they're greater than this team, and you actually want to perform better. Now, do some leagues care more than others? Yes. Do some teams care more than others? Of course. But I think the people who care more in a positive way, those are the people that entice us to create more media, create more content. So, we'll keep doing them. But don't sit there in your chair and go, oh, well, this sucks. Well, why does it suck? Is it because you're mad because no one said you were good, or what happened? That's really what it comes down to. Eric, are you back?
Guess who's back?
There we go.
Back again.
And Eric can speak on that. I mean, did you hear what we were talking about, or did you just completely kick out?
Unfortunately, I have a virus, and apparently my laptop likes to shut down at random times. The screen goes black, and then it turns off.
Cool deal.
So it's good stuff. So please tell me what y'all were talking about.
Talking about power rankings and the creation of content, and why some people do it, and why people shouldn't just sit there and tell you, oh, you suck, and they should probably appreciate the work you do.
Personally, I feel like this has been the weakest season for power rankings. There haven't been a lot of them out there, at least at the AHL level. It's been really disappointing, to be honest. We've gone 4 weeks and we haven't had one power ranking thread besides the time we had 3 people doing it at the start of the season, or 4 people. In regards to the site power rankings, I mean, I think it's better than anything we've ever had before. You got to think of where we came from and where we are now. I mean, we didn't have anything like that before that actually worked. So these site power rankings, I mean, give them 70% truth and 30% fucked upness, and that's how you got to go on it. So.
Fair enough. I want to take a second here to bring it over to the Twitter while we get Sevv hopefully back online before the end of the night. A comment from last week. This one's for us, not Eric. From Hangover LG, finally got around to listening to the LG Snapshot. Great episode. Excited for the future. And F5, your voice gives me a chub. That's good. I mean, that's what I appreciate.
I'll back that 80%, by the way.
80% chub?
You do have a radio voice. I mean, I know radio shows that'll put people to sleep. So.
Oh, I appreciate it.
You do have a good radio voice. Let's rock and roll.
Bergie7 says Sevv is dead, and maybe his corpse will be more effective at defense than he is. That's probably true.
I'll agree with that 80% as well. I'll go 80% on that.
At iCheap says, hi, Mom. He just wants to be heard and seen. M. Frisha says LeBron to Houston.
Whoa!
Is that fact, or is that? Can we confirm that? I will.
Can you confirm that?
Check it. I will fact check.
Just fact check these things.
LeBron's going home.
And iCheap also says that he agrees with you, Powda, on the last point that you said, but Mike Richardson wants you to know that it's J.A. Adond, not J.J. Adond.
And I am Bomani Jones, the white chocolate version.
Eric, I got to know as well, Peter Laban, Mr. Laban himself wants to know, with the New England presence, can we crack lobsters instead of smash clams?
We can crack lobsters any day you want. We can smash clams any night you want. Let's go. Let's go. I would crack a lobster right now if you let me. Oh my God, sweet baby Jesus, that meat with the butter. Let's go. And I'm not going to get into smashing clams because that's a little too gross. We're a PG-13 show, right?
We a little bit are, yeah. It's true.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go. Smash clams for the old school.
You know, like, okay, when we started the show last week, we were putting the show notes together, and we were writing the outline. Sevv writes, at the beginning of the show, we have to put together like a best of the Snapshot. Take the old shows, pick out the best clips, and it's you yelling smash clams like 9 times.
That might happen, but that's not going to happen right now.
Well, we are working on it. We're actually putting it together for the end of the show. At the end of the season, we'll put together a best of 2 seasons, so it'll be you with smash clams all day.
I do have the official LeBron news.
Good times.
What is the official LeBron news?
The official LeBron James news is there is no news.
Okay.
Do you guys actually hear me?
Yes.
We can
he's back.
We can kind of hear you.
Now you're just being
Go
rude.
on the Windows phone.
You're doing it from the Windows phone now?
I am doing it from the Windows phone.
Perfect. Okay, last few things before we jump into some more topics before the end of the night here. LG's great one, the only all-star, says, yeah, anybody who has a brain knows toxicity is the problem with anything game or league on the internet. It's a given. I agree. Ray Stanley says, tell Eric to come play.
I'm coming. Tell him I'm coming.
The Pete says, F5, I'm rattled, hashtag crack lobsters.
I would crack a lobster right now, dude. Let's go.
Sevv, before we get into the 3 stars and 3 scratches for the night, we've been holding our own while you've been on a milk carton yourself. I'm glad you're back.
Yeah, I want that. Hey, I want that graphic done too. By the way, Sevv on a milk carton. Since y'all took the liberty to put me on one.
I didn't do that.
I didn't say you.
Don't say me either.
All right, well, put him on a fucking milk carton. Let's go.
At least I was in the call.
That's true.
It was a good move. I liked it.
Sevv, we're going to jump over to one of the topics that were earlier in the show, the parity in the NHL. Are we shocked or expected of how the teams panned out for you?
I would say there's a little bit of shock in the parity in the NHL. We knew it was summer season. We knew certain owners were going to get tons of trade requests. But even a team like Philly, the team I'm on, we had a lot of issues getting the actual W's early in the season, but we were losing 1-goal games. There's been a lot of tight games. There hasn't been a lot of blowouts. There is, still that top 6 teams, such as like New Jersey, Washington. But for the most part, outside of a handful of teams such as like Boston, New York, there has really not been any major blowouts. Teams just consistently losing outside of maybe about 4 teams.
So you say, are we better this season than last season in terms of quality of team?
I think if you remove some of the owner issues early in the season, that the parity is probably a little bit better this season than I expected.
Now, do you accredit that to the growth of the league as far as the CHL guys moving up to the AHL and really making a name for themselves, thereby bringing up some AHLers to the next level?
Yeah, I definitely think a lot of the guys that have stepped up, someone like roast over in Chicago, who was in the VHL, was pretty much a career AHLer from what I remember. Has definitely made his mark here in the NHL. You have people like Nemser finally making the full season step up. You have a lot of guys that were in the pipelines that finally did make that jump to the NHL. So the talent has been flowing upwards, which helps, especially when people leave. And with the Xbox One next season, we don't know who's going to be here, who's going to be gone. We will probably lose some of the top guys.
Yeah, that's probably true. I can imagine we'll lose if we pulled 3,000 in the summertime. I can see us losing about 1,000 for the Xbox One for the first season, and then hopefully gaining back a couple of those for the second season.
Yeah, I agree. I hope we can definitely pull some numbers and keep it around that 3,000. Seems like a pretty good number.
It's a nice number. Hey, who's your Calder Cup favorite, by the way? I got to know.
Calder Cup favorite? I want to go with your team here, but I think if Providence can string together what they did earlier this season, I don't think there's a team that can beat them. They played consistent. They won, and if you go on a winning streak in the playoffs, you're quickly going to raise that Calder Cup.
That's true. All right, so we knocked that stuff out of the way. Now, people, I was asked on Twitter today, at F5 Penguin, by the way, and I was also asked in a couple of OTPs, hey, one of my favorite things about the VHL Snapshot, about the Snapshot in general, was that you guys...
Win a game. I got to go. Love you.
Eric's just dodging. He's just
and
out.
There goes Eric.
He's out again.
So we're going that 3-host style, rotating in and out.
We're just gonna, we're doing
a tag team match.
We're actually, this is next gen Snapshot. We didn't do this in the last gen Snapshot, but at next gen Snapshot, there's line changes. That's what we're doing.
Nice. And the D-men have all the endurance.
That's it. My endurance is 99
Sevv's
max.
D-man too.
99 max. Well, he's got to deal with the Philly attribute of -5 endurance.
If my mic worked, I'd have been here all the entire show. So. But I was trying to respond.
Listen, though, but even in OTP, I was told, there's a couple of things we do that nobody else does. Nobody else does. One, we don't just sit there and read off of a script all day. Number two, we don't just breathe into a microphone. And number three, we don't. You do, but that's because we couldn't hear you. Number three, we don't just read stats. We actually talk about real things. And then when we do read stats, we do what's called the 3 stars and 3 scratches. Let's play that right now. All right, third star. We'll start with the stars. Why not? Sevv.
Third star this week is going to be NG Blackhawk from the Norfolk Admirals. He's got the most wins in the AHL at 16, leading all goalies. Huge step up. Not one of the teams that, I don't know what happened today in the Snapshot, but not one of the guys really being talked about, but is putting up numbers out there that, are damn near impressive.
I mentioned the Admirals and staying under 10 losses like Albany and Providence, but I didn't go into details of why. Blackhawk is definitely a reason why, standing out above everyone else in the AHL. Second star.
Second star is going to be Like a Hard Puzzle from Philly. He did initially start off on, I'm going to say it's Columbus, but he is 10-1-1. He's 6-0-0 since coming to Philly, and he's helped spark Philly's turnaround, which is now a 6-game winning streak.
Very good. And our first star, going back to the first topic,
is going to be the Kamloops Blazers. 21-0-1. Record-setting this week. I don't know how they played tonight, but they, could easily extend their winning streak, and they are just a powerhouse right now.
They really
They
are.
won one tonight, I can tell you that. They beat the Spokane Chiefs 8-1 or 9-1.
Were you in that game, Pepper?
I was not.
Oh, okay. So we'll put an asterisk next to that win. Just for you.
No need. Breck Easy's already been trying to chirp me on Twitter about it, so we'll look at that. Another Breck Easy shout-out.
And then this is where we go. I named the show Records and Scratches because we started the show with records and we end the show with scratches. It kind of ties in because it's a hip-hop thing. Let's do it right now. Third scratch
is B-Man 3620. -22 on the Quebec Ramparts in the CHL. And, he leads everyone. That's in all 3 leagues, I believe he has the lowest plus-minus in the entire league.
That's pretty terrible.
Give him his kudos where it's deserved. He did have 2 wins.
He does have 2 wins, yeah.
That's pretty terrible.
Still -22.
Yes, I'll agree there.
What's happening down there in Quebec there, Powder?
Quebec is having a rough go of things, to say the least. They haven't been able to string together any sort of winning streak, chemistry, or anything like that at all. Their leading goal scorer right now is B-Man himself, the GM. But that minus 22 obviously outweighs that by a solid 10. But they really don't have anybody else that's really dominant. Ace 22 QC, but I'm not sure what the call-up status is with him, but he's still sitting on a minus 11. And when those two are leading your team, it's kind of tough to find something to build around.
You know, it feels like the Ovechkin, 51 goals, he was a minus 7 or something like that, right?
He lost. Look how much respect that guy lost this season.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way. Second scratch.
The entire Hamilton Bulldogs roster, 7-19-5, 133 goals against.
Now, have we checked that stat to make sure that's real?
That is real. I did double check. They could be, obviously they're much more. At least one AHL game has happened. So, I mean, who knows where they're at now, but they are just, it must be a rough season down there.
That's not good. Wow. What is happening there?
I don't know. That's your league.
It is my league, but we've played them. We've won, but I didn't know it was this bad. 7 wins is not good. I mean, I'm going to go pull up the roster right now.
I got it up right here. I pulled up tonight's game. They played the 13-13 Bridgeport Tigers, and no pictures in yet. No stats. So I'm guessing they might have won because they didn't know what to do in the situation.
So the only guy that really stands out to me is ELMLB Commish. I mean, he's a defender going for $3.5 million down there. Oh, Deadliest Hobo's down there too. But didn't he play goalie last season?
I know him as a goalie.
I know him as a goalie as well. So I don't know. That's the only two guys I can really see that stand out down there. Everyone else is actually on the offense, 1.5 mil or less. And then you got Zero Choice. I know Zero Choice is a goalie. There you go. He's 3 mil, but he's not doing too well either. So I don't know what's happening down there.
Nothing good.
That's when you dig into your training camp real quick. Is what you do. You pull a GM move, and QC Damo is down there as a left wing in the training camp. Call him up, and he'll run you all day. He'll be good. That's all you need. You just need one QC on your team. That should be a standard requirement in LG. You got to have one QC per team. You can't have two because then they start talking French to each other, but just one.
We had a request for a translator in the CHL today.
I saw that.
And I think it was serious. I don't know how much of a joke that was supposed to be, but I believe there is some serious translation issues. But I think Google Translate's doing most of the work right now, and someone's cat's missing.
Fun thing.
I don't know.
It is said Hamilton lost 7-0 tonight.
Ouch.
So 140 goals against.
140 goals against. We gotta change something over there in Hamilton. First scratch of the night.
The first scratch of the night is going to the NHL. It is going to Toronto Maple Leafs goalie KSI Loyal. While he does have 6 wins and 7 losses, it's the 4.40 goals against, which is the worst in the NHL, and that is an NHL with Red Wing freak playing goalie. And he has a staggering 61.8% save percentage.
Wow.
Something definitely needs to change. I mean, call someone up, get rid of him. I don't know what's going on there. Personally, I haven't seen him play, but something needs to change there.
That's pretty terrible.
What is up with KSI? What is KSI? Does anybody have the acronym, what that means? I've seen a lot of KSI guys running around in this league.
It stands for kindly sucking in net.
Makes sense in this case.
What do we got going on next week, Sev?
Next week, we will have our first guest this year. KB Smith is going to join us. We are.
I lost Sev.
He has a topic that he is very heated about that he wants to bring to the show. So
yes,
we will discuss that with KB Smith. He'll be on all show. Hopefully, me and Eric can both make it, and you guys don't have technical issues yourselves.
That'll be nice. I'm doing great. Powder's doing fantastic.
No problem.
Full house.
It's just Sev here. Just can't keep a connection. I don't know what's going on. I gotta send you a headset or something.
I'm just waiting for my free headset from, I don't know, like the first season of Snapshot.
I'm working on it, man. This is what we're doing.
Or my free Microsoft Office, all those other things.
These are the things.
All those broken promises.
How long did you wait for your white name? Okay, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. And then hopefully we can have Eric on for a whole time and not have to go have him play a game. I don't know what's happening there either. But this is what you guys can do. Thank you for watching. Stick around. Like I said, the final shot is coming up in just a little bit. Hashtag LG Snapshot. LeagueGaming.com. Subscribe to our YouTube website. I am F5Penguin at F5Penguin.
I am Sevv09 at Sevv09.
I'm Powder P with Powder_P.
And Eric, you don't need to worry about Eric. He's fine.
Does Eric actually have a Twitter?
I don't know. Does he?
I don't think he can spell it to find it on the search bar.
Here's what we're going to do. Stay tuned in the chat box. That's not what I wanted to do. Stay tuned in the chat box. Make sure you stay tuned in the YouTube chat box in the comments section. And then make sure you stay tuned on Twitter. Hashtag LG Snapshot. We're going to take your questions, comments, concerns, calls, queries, etc. This is the League Gaming Snapshot, Episode 2, Records and Scratches here on LeagueGaming.com. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. And we hope to see you guys next week. Stick around. Welcome back. This is the final shot here on LeagueGaming.com, the post show for the Snapshot. Again, I'm F5 Penguin alongside Sevv09 and Powder P. Man, we had a good turnout tonight.
Except for hosts.
Well, I can't rely on you guys anymore. I know that.
Hey, in baseball, 3 out of 4 is pretty good.
This is what we need. This is what we need. So here's what we got. Chat with us. We want to hear from you guys. We'll spend a couple minutes. This is what we do after every show. We started it not last season, 8 seasons ago, however long ago, back in the VHL. We want to do that here again. We want to take your questions. If you want to talk to us, let us know. Hashtag LG Snapshot on Twitter. Let me bring up the page here for you guys. There we go. So we have the Twitter feed up. Let's see what we got going on here. iCheap wants to know, and this is interesting because I've actually thought about this, not in a serious way, just in a fantasy land type of thing. Will we see a LeagueGaming.com and Major League Gaming merger? Obviously, I don't think so, but how cool would it be if we did?
I've actually thought about the end game of possibilities for all of this kind of stuff. Whether EA Sports steps in to help, whether whoever, no matter what happens, league growth is always positive. With an organization like MLG, I mean that's high end video gaming. That's the place to be. They're like Major League Baseball, while we're sitting here as the AA team that is trying to make it to the big time, which isn't a bad thing because I think we've been growing at a really good rate. But the push that we could get from MLG, as long as we didn't lose sight of what LG is, it could only be positive. But it could never happen.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you look at it, they started the same way. They had a website. They got things together. They make tournaments. They do it in real life, and they're done. It would be really cool if, for the finals, we could bring people together. and have people play the finals like in person. That would be the coolest thing ever.
That would be absolutely insane, awesome, and so many positive things. And like, you got to look at the bigger aspect, which is I think why we use the LG channel on YouTube is, we centralize everything into one location like that, and hopefully someday we'll have all these games being live streamed on different channels within the channel. Hopefully with commentary. How cool would that be to have commentators and stuff like that on LG games?
You speak to my warm spot, Powder. That's what I want to do.
I hear you, man.
That is my end result, to A, centralize the media for the website, and then B, commentate at least a game a week using spectate mode on like NHL 15. Sev, what do you think?
I mean, there's definitely a lot of room for growth. I think getting to the level that MLG is at, or a merger in that type of sense, is kind of far off. Hockey in general is not exactly the most popular sport.
Sure.
Let alone, I don't think our streaming numbers at this point are extremely high either. I mean, there's definitely room to push it, but I mean, it's a ways off in the distance. But I mean, I would be all for pushing it.
Here's the thing from @ThePete, #LG Snapshot. Jeremy A60 and I would like to see a Stith sighting for power rankings again. #sexy Sevv voice.
Well, sexy Sevv voice. All right. Sith is apparently under the idea that he can't do any media as staff.
Which I don't think is true.
I don't think it's true either, because, I don't know, I was staff in media, and I just think we make Sith do it anyways. So
everyone
just harass him.
Yes. Everyone private message Sith right now. Tell him it's not in the Constitution. He's crazy for thinking so, and he's got to come out of the woodwork and come do some power rankings or some write-ups. Tell him we'll help him. But we need him to step up and do it, and he's crazy for thinking he can't do it. I don't even know. Let's see what else we got going on here in the Twitter feed. Ben L14L. I don't know if they're ever I's or L's. Is a pylon. This coming from @LG_Ahern21. I don't know who Ben 14 is. Is he a pylon?
Ben 14 is not a pylon. Ben 14 runs his mouth in the chat box an awful lot. And I remember early on, before, I think it was during AHL bidding, me and him played a couple games just because everybody was bored or something, and we beat up on an NHL team that was already together, and it was just a group of guys led by Brown. So, I mean, obviously the level of play couldn't be too great, but he has some skills. He's not bad. He just likes to talk a lot.
Oh, we're going to talk about Brown in just a second too. Nice. But before we do that, the response to that was @Hut_9 says, I break Ahern's 21's ankles. So I don't know who that guy is either. 3,000 people in the league, guys. We can't keep up. Who are these people? You got to give us references.
At least be popular if you're gonna.
Got to give us teams, you know. Ahern also says, I guess this was into the scratches, who's not doing well. Calgary, since Kulikov disappears, went from the laughing stock of the NHL to possibly a playoff contender.
Just lost to Philly 4-2.
What do you think? So what's Calgary doing?
Calgary is still, in my opinion, a poser in the NHL. They definitely have some talent there, but I mean, straight off the bat, I don't think they're built well. They took some, what was it, Vaz in the draft, and already had 2 $4 million-ish goalies. I mean, they just haven't been able to recover no matter what's happened to them. I mean, we beat them with our third line just now, 4-2, by Philly versus Calgary at the 10. That's the game I was playing while trying to be on the air, but my mic died. So, I mean, they're not a terrible team, but they had no business even getting those 2 goals. We had an AHL goalie up there. He played out of his mind. He got 2 goals that bounced right off his shoulder and in. So, I mean, it was almost a shutout for the AHL goalie. So,
very good. All right, and I want to go back, Sev, your thoughts. We kind of talked about it in the show, but since someone mentioned it again, @TheOnly All-Star says, everyone knows toxicity is a problem with any game or league on the internet. It's a given. Internet tough guys. I say it doesn't have to be that way, and we mentioned it last week. There's communities that aren't terrible.
There's communities as a whole that aren't terrible, but at the same point, in any community, there is always those handful of guys you want to get rid of. But I mean, if they're if they're playing within the rules, you can't get rid of them. I mean, they can not be everyone's favorite. They can, chirp or just be general asshats, but if they're within the rules, there's nothing you can do.
That's true, but I feel like, at least for this league, and I've played in a lot of leagues, and I've played in a lot of different gaming communities. I am a gamer, and I know you are too, Sevv. For me, this league allows a certain type of behavior to occur, and not this league, VHL did it too, that detracts new people from A, wanting to sign up, or B, daring to ask a question or involve themselves in the community because of how terrible a handful of people are. But it seems like that handful are the only ones ever communicating because no one else wants to.
I mean, I think it's been better this season, at least, with some of the questions being answered. And like him or hate him, and Sean's been a Chatbox troll. He's been, in the chat box answering questions, as well as there's been a number of other people. Baghdaddy, whatever his new gamer tag is, Kayatsu or something like that.
Yeah.
There's been a number of people that have been in the chat box and attempting to help out new guys. But at the same point, we've had a lot of new people come into this league, preaching that they're the second coming. So there's going to be some of that back and forth. But at the same point, we can't just be randomly banning people out of the chat box like it's also happened this season, just because someone doesn't stop when someone says stop, especially if they're not breaking a rule.
That's called rape, Sevv. No means no.
Wow. 18 no's and a yes is still a yes.
Bam.
Powder, your thoughts on this?
I mean, going back to toxicity and it's just the 1% is always going to be there. I mean, it's a lot higher than 1%. But I played in a Madden league that we were the 30 guys versus games, and it was a league that was together since 2004, and it's just one of those things that it's always there. Guys will come and go, but you're always going to have the chirpers, the shit talkers, whatever you want to call them. They're going to be there. There's no way to get rid of them. But as Sevv said, as long as they're not breaking the rules, that kind of environment can be good for a league.
There's a line, though, right? I mean, even within the rules, there's still a line that people seem to cross not in a, oh, it's bad, but in a, again, like that kind of thing. And that detracts me from even getting involved in the conversation. So in the chat box in the morning, I have great conversations about tech news, gaming news, world news with a bunch of people. Then by, at least for the summertime, by 11 o'clock, the chat box is ruined and I'll just leave.
Yeah, once all the stoners wake up and they get back to doing absolutely nothing with their lives and playing hockey. I mean, yeah, I do that too. But guess what? I'm not going to sit here and, troll that, and be that jerk. I tried being a jerk during bidding just to see what people would say and if my bid would change at all. Just to mess around, and I'll go back and forth with some people. But as soon as the conversation gets hostile and stuff like that, you'll see me right out of it. And there's too many guys just take this stuff personally when all you guys are becoming are internet tough guys. Which, unless you know how to hack, I mean, you're not going to be able to do too much.
The E-Peen is not strong with this one. Hey, a question here from at iCheap. Hashtag LG Snapshot. This one's to you, Sevv. As a new member to the league, I've heard rumors about NHL teams just being groups of friends. Any truth or argument against that?
There's definitely, I wouldn't say teams in general being built around friends, but you definitely, when you're building an NHL team, you definitely look for a group of friends that of similar skill level. So guys that have that chemistry or that play together all the time, especially on the third lines. The third line is probably going to be the most debatable line in any sports, because you have the guys that are barely in the NHL, and then you have the guys that in the AHL, which if you read Brody's write-up, there you go, there's staff to media right there, so no excuse for Seth. If you read Brody's write-up, he talks about how the game is different. The game between the AHL level and the NHL level is very much different than what you have. So there's always going to be there. I'm going to take a guy that I know, whether he's necessarily a friend or not, over some guy I've never played with, especially on that third line. Just because I know he's going to show up, I know I'm not going to get what I'm going to get out of him and who I can play him with. There definitely is. So no, as a team in general, there isn't a team built out of all friends, and I would love to see it if it happened, because unless you're friends with some of the top players, you're just going to get destroyed.
That's true. What else we got going on? There's a picture, but I'm not going to click on it, obviously, on the site. We're not doing that.
I actually already looked at it, and it's just the awards for E3 that for NHL, Sports Game of the Year awards. I used to think that was so cool that NHL won all these awards, but in the video game world right now, there's only a handful of elite awards you want to win. Everything else, there's probably thousands of awards that go out. So 4 is actually one of the lower numbers I've seen them coming out of E3 with.
Yeah, they used to win like 30 or 40 at a time, and now they have 4, which is terrible. I mean, look at FIFA. Look at what Madden's doing. Madden is back, and I went on a long spiel the day of the first... The press conferences for E3 that Monday. I did a long spiel on Twitch and did one Tuesday about EA and how Madden has us playing again. They're winning awards. There's a bunch of sports games that are winning awards. Evolve is going to do really well. There's a lot of good games that NHL isn't the groundbreaking thing anymore, and it's frustrating to say that because I want it to be that good. But anyway, I think that's all we got tonight. Looking through chat boxes and threads and stuff, I think that's all we got. That's it. Done.
Which works because I got to go start streaming.
That's it.
And we did it all under an hour.
That's what we live for, boys. So here's what we're going to do. Hashtag LG Snapshot. Leave us your questions and comments throughout the week. We're doing this again next Tuesday. We'll have some guests on. We'll have a manager and owner's take on things. That should be fun. Prepare your questions for KB Smith. Tell Eric to fix his microphone. Send Sevv a new headset. And we'll see you guys next week. I'm F5 Penguin.
I'm at Sevv09.
Powder P.
We'll see you guys next week here on LeagueGaming.com's YouTube channel, LG Snapshot, Episode 2.